So, hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And today I'm going to talk about how to program in C, which is a pretty cool language that it's low level language, we can say. It's much lower than Java or Python. So it's mm, near to metal, you can say. It's much faster as well. I'm going to use Ubuntu for the tutorial. I'm also going to use because Ubuntu comes with GCC compiler, so you need to have a compiler to program in C, which basically uh, translate your human readable code to machine code, binary code, and also I'm going to use Vim, and this is going to be the first tutorial is going to be very simple, but it's gonna teach you a lot hopefully. So let's begin with Vim. I'm at my desktop right now. As you can see here, I'm going to type vim main.c, which is going to create a file called main. Uh, the file extension for C files is .c, which is pretty straightforward. Uh, to begin with, let's start by typing the main. So we will have a main function. And what it does is that in any C code, you begin with the main. If you are familiar with Java or Python, uh, you will know this. Uh, but over here, the compiler, the first thing when it runs, it check for the main, and it goes to run what's in the main. So we type int main. Actually, you don't need the int, but it's only to return value. It's useful for debugging, so you could check if the main actually returns zero or not. The Formally, if you return a zero, like for example, if I type here return zero, this should mean that the program ran successfully and there is no errors. But basically, you don't need it, so I'm just gonna type void. And void means you don't return anything, or it's okay. To begin my tutorial, we need to include two main libraries in C. The first one is include standard library. And the second one is the IO, standard IO. So include standard IO. Okay, that's pretty simple. So what does include means? Include means that your compiler is going to load this library before your program before it's gonna load it. Basically, it's gonna load the whole library, so you could call any function over there. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to use some of the functions that I'm going to put. What's the first program that we are gonna type? It's hello world. This is the most basic one. So puts, which is a function that print to the screen. So type hello. So world. Okay. And then don't forget that C code always ends with semicolon. Uh, puts is a function that is gonna print to the screen. So let's save this file and check what's gonna happen. And it's in the standard IO, I think, library. So let's WQ, and then let's type gcc main.c. Yes, so everything is working right now. Let's run a. Okay, so it printed out hello. Uh, GCC, when you type GCC main.c, this is gonna compile your program, and it's gonna compile it to a file called .a or a out. So if you put ls, you're gonna see a file that's called a.out, which is the first one over here, and you could change that by adding a parameter if you like to make it, like for example dash o main, and then when you're gonna see that you have a main file, so you could run main. If you're gonna run the same thing, you could, yeah. So that's basically it. It's just a matter of parameter, and you could name it as you want. So let's go back to our code, and you could see that it printed out hello world as the previous one. So let's go to Vim. Okay, and this is Vim, and let's begin by our second example, which is very important to know, is that we could take user input as a parameter. So over here in the main, we could add int rc and then char rv, and this is basically an argument that you use with the program. So let me go back and show you what it means. So when you run your program like this, you could add any parameter, and if you add, it's not going to change anything here, but you could use this as an input for your program, and I'm going to use this to make a simple addition. Let's go back here and let's add two numbers. So I'm going to add two numbers, we need to introduce you to something called variables. And variables could be in so many types. The basic variables are ints, double, float, uh, characters. What else? Have I missed anything? I don't think so. Yeah, so we begin with the int. I'm going to use an int as a number. Let's call it number 1, and let's initialize it to 0. And let's have another number, let's call it number 2, and let's initialize it to 0, and then let's use it. So to use it, I'm going to use the argument, like I said. So the first argument, argv, is the program name, and this is an array. So what you need to understand, because I'm not going to introduce arrays in this tutorial, but arrays is actually like a set of variables. So imagine that you have this is a one variable, the num is one variable, while the array, it contains more than one variable, and the first one is the program name, the second one is the user input, and that's which is index 1, and index 2 as well as the user input, until how many inputs the user did in the program. And the first argument is going to be number 1. Okay, this is pretty straightforward, but what you need to know is that this argv, okay, as I said, this is an int, but argv is a char, a character. It's completely different type, and you cannot just make it this way, because this way is gonna introduce you to another issue, which is incompatible variable. So I'm going to use A2AI, which basically convert the character to an integer. Okay, and number 2 is going to be the same thing, but with argv2. Okay, let's go back to A2AI. Okay, and we need to print the result of number 1 and number 2. And to print them, you cannot use puts. Puts only use a strings, so it only prints out what's over here. It cannot print and format anything. It cannot print an integer. It cannot print a variable. Therefore, we need to use another thing called printf. And surprise, surprise, it can do what we need. And we could add a simple clear message that say the sum is, I forgot my quotation mark. Okay, or the sum equal. Okay, and then we need to add percentage %d and then a new line. After that, we could print num1 plus num2. Okay, what is this going to do? Printf, like I said, format the string, which means that it puts variables into text and it print them out. And to use it correctly, you need to know that puts add a new line, while printf doesn't add a new line at the end. So this is why we have over here a new line character, which means that the second printf, if I have another one, it's going to be in a new line. While the percentage %d means that this is an integer and we need to print the integer value. And you add it as a parameter, as the second parameter, which is num1 plus num2, and this should work. So let's save it, compile, I would like to leave it as a default one because other files doesn't matter, and then edit out. Yeah, and to run the program as you have seen before, you need to add the dot before the file name. And you see segmentation fault. And this is because I haven't added the numbers, and I know that this is gonna happen. But if I add the numbers as an argument, I'm gonna get the sum is equal to 7, which is going to introduce you to very important aspect in programming in C. Segmentation faults are not your friends. When you see a segmentation fault, this means that you have an error in your program, and it's not a compiler error. It's more that you forgot to check something. And over here, we forgot to check the argc parameter. Okay, so let me repeat this. When we run the program, but with a different number, let's say 10 and 4, the 10 is argument 1 and the 4 is argument 2. And you could repeat this as many times as you like and it's gonna work. But why we did get a segmentation fault at the beginning? It's because if you go back to our program, you will see that I have in the main an argc, which is an argument counter or an argument number. And we forgot actually to count how many arguments I have. So we forgot one condition, which is going to introduce us to an if condition and how to use if conditions. To use an if, you type an if, and an if is a choice, and you tell the program that if this happens, you should do that. And in this case, we need to check how many arguments is there. So sometimes it's not going to be 2 or 3, sometimes it's going to be less. So if argc is less than 2 or less than 3, then we could use puts right now. It's much simpler than printf because printf is more complicated and it's actually add the new line automatically too. Puts not enough, or let's say you need two arguments, and I will type args as a shortcut, and you need to return, and in this case return is going to just terminate the program. So let's go back and check. We need to compile it to check if we have any error. Let's see, GCC name. Okay, you need to ask. This actually saves you a lot of headache because right now you cannot get a segmentation fault. And a segmentation fault is a memory error. So there is something wrong with your memory, or you have, in our case, we have tried to access something that it shouldn't allow to access, which is argv1 and argv2, which is not valid. You are trying to access something in memory that's not included. And as you can see, the if statement is simple. You type if, and then you have a condition, and then it's gonna run what's inside the condition if the condition is true. Okay, and this will finish my tutorial, and in the next tutorial I'm going to talk about how to take input not as an argument but as a scanf. I don't know if you know it, but it's basically you type it inside the program. And thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you like it, and I hope this video was helpful.